Hey y'all, new day, new verses, and today we are going to do a quick read over of Matthew 10, but I wanted to focus primarily today on Micah 7, and you'll see why once we get there. But here we go. Matthew 10. Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to cast out evil and unclean spirits, and to heal every kind of disease and illness. Here are the names of the 12 disciples. First, Simon, called Peter, then Andrew, Peter's brother, James, son of Zebedee, John, James's brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, James, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who later betrayed him. Jesus sent out the 12 disciples with these instructions. Don't go to the Gentiles or the Samaritans, but only to the people of Israel, God's lost sheep. Go and announce to them that the kingdom of God is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with leprosy, and cast out demons. Give as freely as you have received. Don't take any money in your money belts. No gold, silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a change of clothes and sandals, or even a walking stick. Don't hesitate to accept hospitality, because those who work deserve to be fed. Whenever you enter a city or village, search for a worthy person and stay in his home until you leave town. When you enter the home, give it your blessing. If it turns out to be a worthy home, let your blessing stand. If it is not, take back the blessing. If any household or town refuses to welcome you or listen to your message, shake the dust from your feet as you leave. I tell you the truth, the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah will be better off than such a town on the day of judgment. Look, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves. So be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. But beware, for you will be handed over to the courts, and will be flogged with whips in the synagogues. You will stand trial before governors and kings, because you are my followers. But this is your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me. When you are arrested, don't worry about how to respond or what to say. God will give you the right words at the right time. For it is not you who will be speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. A brother will betray his brother to death. A father will betray his own child, and the child will rebel against their parent and cause them to be killed. And all nations will hate you because you are my followers. But everyone who endures to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one town, flee to the next. I tell you the truth, the Son of Man will return before you have reached all the towns of Israel. Students are not greater than their teacher, and the slaves are not greater than their master. Students are to be like their teacher, and slaves are to be like their master. And since I, the master of the household, have been called the prince of demons, the members of my household will be called by even worse names. But don't be afraid of those who threaten you. For the time is coming when everything that is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all. What I tell you now in darkness, shout abroad when daybreak comes. What I whisper in your ear, shout from the housetops for all to hear. Don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. What is the price of 2 sparrows? 1 copper coin? But not a single sparrow can fall to the ground without your Father knowing it. And the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. Everyone who acknowledges me publicly here on earth, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But everyone who denies me here on earth, I will also deny before my Father in heaven. Don't imagine that I came to bring peace to the earth. I came not to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to set man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Your enemies will be right in your own household. If you love your father or mother more than you love me, you are not worthy of being mine. Or if you love your son or daughter more than me, you are not worthy of being mine. If you refuse to take up your cross and follow me, you are not worthy of being mine. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. Anyone who receives you receives me, and anyone who receives me receives the Father who sent me. If you receive a prophet as one who speaks for God, you will be given the same reward as a prophet. And if you receive righteous people because of their righteousness, you will be given a reward like theirs. And if you give even a cup of cold water to one of the least of my followers, you will surely be rewarded. Now, I wanted to dig into Micah 7, which is where that verse, I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Your enemies will be inside your own household. Because the entire section of Micah is actually headed as misery turned to hope. And that's kind of what I wanted to get in here over the next couple of days. Because tomorrow we're going to be talking about the fact that there is a lot of don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. But today, with Micah 7, I want to talk about that misery turning to hope. Micah 7 is this. How miserable I am. I feel like the fruit picker after the harvest, who can find nothing to eat. Not a cluster of grapes or a single early fig can be found to satisfy my hunger. The godly people have all disappeared. Not one honest person is left on the earth. They are all murderers, setting traps even for their own brothers. Both their hands are equally skilled at doing evil. Officials and judges alike demand bribes. The people with influence get what they want, and together they scheme to twist justice. Even the best of them is like a briar. The most honest is as dangerous as a hedge of thorns. But your judgment day is coming swiftly now. Your time of punishment is here, a time of confusion. Don't trust anyone, not your best friend or even your wife. For the son despises his father, the daughter defiles her mother. The daughter-in-law defies her mother. The daughter-in-law defies her mother-in-law. Your enemies are right in your own household. As for me, I look to the Lord for help. I wait continually for God to save me. And my God will certainly hear me. Do not gloat over me, my enemies, for though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. I will be patient as the Lord punishes me, for I have sinned against him. But after that, he will take up my cause, and give me justice for all I have suffered from my enemies. Yahweh, the Lord, will bring me into the light, and I will see his righteousness. Then my enemies will see that the Lord is on my side. They will be ashamed that they taunted me, saying, So where is the Lord, that God of yours? With my own eyes I will see their downfall. They will be trampled like mud in the streets. In that day, Israel, your cities will be rebuilt, and your borders will be extended. People from many lands will come and honor you, from Assyria all the way to the towns of Egypt, from Egypt all the way to the Euphrates River, and from distant seas and mountains. But the land will become empty and desolate because of the wickedness of those who live there. So when I read this verse, your enemies will be in your own home. We're in a world where everything is tense. Everybody's always at each other's throats about something. You could take any particular subject, throw it out on social media, and within 5 minutes, somebody will try to pick a fight. And the idea here of that it is being, sorrow turning to hope, misery turning to hope, I think that kind of intricately connects to what Jesus is talking about here. Not that we're supposed to be doing battle the world's way of the wickedness, the backstabbing, the twisting justice, demanding bribes, the acting, like we're doing even today. Often people from certain levels of power, prestige, corporations, they've done the same thing. If I didn't tell you it was Micah 7, could you tell me it wasn't a post? Vexing about how insane the world is today. People where, I don't agree with you, so I'm going to pick a fight with you. Blackout games. People getting to the point of pure savagery. Throwing their own family out. For whatever reason. That, I think, is the core of it here. The family being in the old household. We're supposed to chase after God. Not everybody who professes to be a Christian is one. And not everyone who professes not to be one isn't. That's kind of for God to decide. Really, the core of it is knowing that only through Jesus can you be saved. Because he's the one who died in our place. No, I think here is the beauty that even in the darkness, God will bring to light. That, the Psalms, that a father punishes their child to help train them and bring them up. And it strikes me that it's all connecting to this idea of we are designed to be something different. Something that only Jesus has ever truly been. A human being. The rest of us may be human, but we're not exactly living the lives we're supposed to. We're not reflecting, at least not all the time, the image that we bear. God's image. Especially if we resort to cutting down our brothers and sisters and our own family over disagreements. Examples of the ways to respond come through quite a bit. And tomorrow, when going into Don't Be Afraid, we're going to be digging into Acts 2. T-O-O, not T-W-O. We're going to be digging into the story of Stephen, one of the first martyrs of the body of Christ. And, it's also the story where we get to meet Saul, who later becomes Paul. It is a place where I believe we get to see in real time how we're called to do it. How we are called to trust in the Lord and rejoice knowing that he has us at all times, that he's covered us, that he will watch over us. And I love the fact that in that day, Israel, your cities will be rebuilt. Because it makes me think to Job, and how at the end of Job, even after all he went through, he prospered even more. He was given back far more than what was taken from him in those times, in the seasons of his life and in the difficulty. Because Job goes through some stuff. And it's beautiful to me that through all of it, God is saying, if you trust that I have you, then trust that I have you. I care about you more than sparrows. I know the numbers of hairs on your head. I know the number of cells in your body. I know the number of breaths you will take. I know the number of times your heart will beat. I know every thought you've had. I know every hope and dream that's ever come to you because I gave them to you. That is the God we serve. That is the God in here in the Bible. The one who wants us to draw to him, who's inviting us to be with him through the blood of his son Jesus, to be set justified, so that we can stand before the Lord wearing the righteousness of Christ rather than our own. We don't really have any unless God gives it to us. There is difficulty, there is sorrow, there is so much struggle in this world. And yet misery can turn to hope when you know where your source of hope is. So today, I would implore you, if you are unsure where your hope comes from, if you don't know in the core of your being that your help comes from the Lord, I implore you, chase after him, ask him. He wants to be in relationship with us. I would hope that we would want to be in relationship with him. Because with all of the things going on, those who trust in the Lord are at peace. And there's a reason all the way out through the Bible. It says, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Fear not. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Why don't be afraid? Because we're not called to fear. In fact, we are not given a spirit of fear. We're given a sound mind, patience, love, the fruits of the Spirit. So even when all of the insanity continues, then all of it gets worse. It will. Revelation, that's what the text says, that it's just going to get worse until it gets better when he comes home and reunites heaven and earth. If it's just going to keep getting worse and you don't know how you can hold on to it, stop relying on your own strength. Let God be your strength. Because if you truly believe that he has you, then why white knuckle it through life? Why try to win a race that's already been won? At best you could do is second, and I'm pretty sure that that's not the point. The point is the journey. The point is the walk. The point is the relationship. And then that really is the core of what I'm wanting people to dig into here. It is a relationship with our Maker, our Abba. Because when Jesus sends out his disciples, he tells them to take nothing. Not a walking stick, backpack, no coins. Just, you got your sandals? Yep, you're equipped. Go. Here is the message. And that the rest will be taken care of. That's truly living in the trust that he's talking about on the Sermon on the Mount. If he dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will he clothe you? And if that's a question in your mind, or you're struggling with it, know that that's okay. Know that the first disciple listed right there is Simon, called Peter, Kepha. On this rock I will build my church, not as a man in a pointy white hat, but as a person who fails, who is struggling to make it in the right direction, who trips through the doorways that God opens, and sometimes falls flat on his face. And I'm not knocking Peter in any way, shape, or form. I'm rejoicing. Because if Peter is seen as the first disciple, is seen as the rock on which God builds his church, and he's a screw-up, then how much more beautiful for the rest of us who are screw-ups. Like, God wouldn't want me, I'm a screw-up. No, he made his head screw up outside of Judas, the rock on which he built this church. The one who denied him 3 times, and when Jesus just set right 3 denials with 3 times of Peter saying, yes, I do love you, met him even still of saying, okay, Peter, if you can't self-sacrificially love for me, can you love me as a brother? Like that kind of love, that kind of mercy, that kind of decency that we are shown that we do not deserve. How beautiful, how wonderful, how great the opportunity to know that we don't have to get it right. We just have to get in relationship with God and let him do it. Take up your cross, follow him. Decide that he is worth more than anything else. To be with the source of our creation, our Creator. How beautiful. And this is the opportunity we have. Daily, we can dig into the Word. Daily, we can dig into time with God. Daily, moment by moment, second by second, we can rejoice. Not because of the situation. Situation could be a hot dumpster fire. But we rejoice because we know God is God over it. That he's greater than it. We know as Christians, as Christ followers, that this is not some, good versus evil battle of equal proportions and power. It's not. It's not in any way, shape, and or form. And if you think it is, that's not biblical. Because for good and evil to be on the same level, evil would have to be anti-good. You know what I mean? It's an absolute value problem. For there to be a negative one, there has to be a one. At which point, evil is not as powerful as good. It's a negative. It's an inverse. It's just corruption. It's faulty. And we are given an opportunity daily, moment by moment, to rejoice not in the situations we're dealing with, but in the fact that God is greater than. That God is greater than the enemy of this world. That he has conquered death, hell, and the grave. That no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And if you're like, well, I believe that, but I'm struggling. God's got an example of that in here too. Fine, I believe, Lord. Help me with my unbelief. All of it constantly pushing on to say, don't listen to the enemy. Don't listen to the one who's going to tell you you have no value, you have no worth, that you don't matter. No, listen to God. Listen to the one who knows the number of hairs on your head, who knows everything about you and wants you to be in relationship with him. Because Milton and Dante are really good writers, but have nothing to do with the Bible. We serve a God who went through it all to save us. A God that knows the difficulty of the human condition, who became man to live as man was always meant to and get it right. That's why Paul calls Jesus the new Adam. The one to do it, to get it right, to nail it. And by his stripes, by his blood, we are healed. We are made right. We are set whole if we let the Lord do it. You know, I said a couple of posts ago that the part of us that we're giving up isn't the part of us we want at all. That I got from take up your cross and follow me. Let's see here. If you refuse to take up your cross and follow me, you are not worthy of being mine. If you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. So I was always wondered what that meant. The more I dug into it, the more I realized the life we're giving up is not what we would call life anyway. The life that we're called to give up is the death in us. Called to put down hatred as the default response, anger as the quick go-to, thoughts of murder as the instinct reaction. That's what we're called to give up. We are called to put down the I need to get mine before anybody else gets theirs, or I need to get mine so I actually get some. We're called to put down that kind of thinking and that kind of mentality. We're called to live past just the simple needs that a raccoon might have. You know, these basic things, yes, but we live on more than bread alone. We live with God taking care of us, making a way for us. And if you're struggling with that, ask him for wisdom. Ask him to open the eyes of your heart, the ears of your heart, to open your soul to his wisdom. Because he pours it out, James 1:5. Unabashed and without reservation. He gives it out. You ask, he'll give. And we see Jesus himself saying that, not just his half-brother. Knock and you shall receive. Or knock and the door shall be open. Ask and you shall receive. We covered that not too long ago, remember? God's got us. And if you're in a place of misery right now, I implore you, turn to the God of green hope, the God of all hope. The Alpha, the Omega, the one true God. The one who will never leave nor forsake. The one who so cares about the dignity of humans that he will honor their choices even if that choice is to ignore him. Now, we're called to do something better. We're not called to ignore. We're called to love. We're called to be a light. To shine out in this dark world. That our lives would draw the attention to God, who should and does get all the glory. That we can shout at the top of our lungs, I was lost, but now I am found. I was blind, but now I see. I was dead. Now I live. So the question is this. Do you want to live? Truly live? Then take up your cross and follow the King. I'll see you guys tomorrow as we go over even more of the beauty inside Matthew 10. I'll see you guys then. May his favor be upon you. Know that you are loved. And it'll be okay. Because God's greater still. I'll see you then. Bye.